All right, everybody, welcome back. It is time to get this Tiger off-road and see what she can do. So I've got about 1,000 miles on the Tiger so far, and a couple hundred of that is off-road. I didn't want this to be like a first impressions off-road kind of video. I wanted to kind of dial it in and really see where she shines. So obviously on stuff like this, gravel roads, easier dirt roads, the Tiger does fantastic. Especially when you have the right suspension setting. You know, it feels very planted. You're very confident in the bike. Really no issue here. Again, have the right tires. I have the Battle Axe on the rear and the Tusk 2 Sport in the front, so it does give me a good amount of traction. But even in, like, that was a nice rocky uphill section, and even there it was a breeze. It's when you start getting into more technical off-road where kind of like that. I don't know if you could see it. That was a nice uphill section, rocky, a little rutted, you know, but the Tiger's going, hey dummy, this is a 500-pound machine, what are you doing? So unless you're very skilled, have been riding for a very long time, you know, you're going to notice the size, you're going to notice the weight off-road when you get to the more technical stuff. This is a pretty steep downhill section here with some rocks. No issues. The bike doesn't feel like it's sliding out or anything. It's just a lot of fun. You can ride stuff like this all day, no problem. Well, the arrow says that way, but I want to go this way. We'll go this way first. So right now we're back here at Tuller Hill State Forest. Now if you saw my video a couple months back, where I came here in the spring and it was still really muddy and icy, and I didn't get very far. So I came back to try to finish this little state forest. Oh boy. Oh, now we're talking. Oh, that's steep and it's all rocks. That really gets your butt puckered, huh? Well, as we're crawling down this hill, I might as well talk about the suspension. So I've been working the suspension, all different sorts of settings for, you know, again, 1,000 miles on the bike now. And just when you think you kind of have it dialed in, you try something else, and you're like, geez, maybe that's a little bit better. So right now, the rear shock I have at 2 clicks from minimum, and it seems to give the rear end a whole lot of traction. You know, you're not bouncing around too much. You feel planted off-road. Now, obviously, that's way too soft off-road, or I'm sorry, obviously that's not the right setting on road. You feel way too soft on road. So, but again, it's easy to adjust. You just reach down here and click it when you're back on road. It's simple. So 2 clicks from minimum in the rear. So again, for the front rebound and compression, you go all the way clockwise, and then you count clicks back counterclockwise. So I am 12 clicks counterclockwise for off-road. Also, I have messed with the preload settings. The preload settings are different from the little dials on the top. The preload is the nut right underneath those dials. So if you can see, it's not this top one, it's that black nut right underneath it. So all the way counterclockwise is closed, so I have gone 10 full turns to stiffen the preload. Again, I've heard people say that 20 is good for off-road if you're going to do extreme off-road, but I did try 20 and it was way too much. It made the on-road stuff unbearable, so that's something that isn't a quick adjustment. It's something you have to take your time and you know, do it in the garage. So after trying the 20 and realizing that just isn't going to work, I went halfway. I went to 10, and it's been a pretty good sweet spot. You know, on the road you don't really notice it, and off-road it gives you that extra little bit. So right now I'm pretty happy with the suspension settings. Again, 2 clicks in the back for a minimum, 12 clicks counterclockwise in the front, and 10 full turns on the preload. So now we're going to go back up that hill and see how it does. Yeah. Oh, you can hear that skid plate. It's super sketchy coming up this hill. Thought for a minute I wasn't in off-road mode. Oh, it's crushing it. Wow, very impressed actually. That's probably the hardest uphill section I've done, and there were so many loose rocks. You can hear them banging off the bash plate. So I did say once you get into more technical stuff you can feel the weight of the bike, but actually in that situation it still felt super light and super nimble going up that hill. The most important thing is confidence and being able to trust the bike. And in a situation like that, once you're going, you really can't stop. So trusting in the bike, get to the top of the hill, and at no point in that climb did I think I wasn't going to make it, did I think the Tiger was going to fail me. Spectacular. Yes. This is a fun one. I'm glad I came back here. I thought it was just going to be flat dirt roads, but it's not at all. It's a lot more technical than I thought. But I absolutely love the standing position on this bike. It really makes off-roading that much more enjoyable. Again, yes, I do have rocks risers on this, about 1.25 inches, I believe. But my knees are in a great position right on the tank. I'm not hunched over at all. I can bend my legs, I can bend my elbows. So the standing position on this bike is fantastic, especially when you're off-road. Gives you that extra confidence, that extra leverage to really tackle any obstacle. So second gear is my sweet spot off-road. It gives you plenty of power in all the different rev ranges. You know, you can go nice and slow, and you still have enough get up if you need it. And you can go, yeah, it's really about like 30 to 40 miles an hour until you're really revving it out too much. You know, but off-road on stuff like this, it's perfect. You don't, especially when you're standing, once you do a lot off-road, you don't have to worry about any gear changes. Second gear, put it in second gear and just go. It's a nice tall gear, but you still have plenty of power, like I said, in all of the rev ranges. So when I first got this bike and I first started going off-road, yeah, I was a little hesitant here and there. I was still learning the bike. That's why I didn't want to do a first impressions review. I wanted to get a couple hundred miles of off-road experience with this bike before I really told you my thoughts. And I gotta say, the number one thing is it is so much fun. And that, to me, is the most important. You're comfortable, you're confident, and you have an awesome time while you're riding off-road with this bike. Coming right at me? Dang. Or I should say off pavement, because a lot of people don't think this is off-road, gravel roads. What is this? Oh my. You camp here? That'd be a sweet camp spot. Nice. Anyway, again, I should say off pavement because some people don't consider this off-road. They don't consider gravel roads or dirt roads to be off-road because yes, it technically is a road. So I have hundreds of miles of off pavement use with the Tiger, and yes, I've gone off-road on technical trails, ATV trails, anything like that. I've done that as well. And anything I've thrown at this Tiger so far, she's tackled it with ease. Now yes, obviously the more technical stuff is harder to do. She is a 500-pound machine. But that all comes with practice. You'll learn those skills. With any new bike, one of the hardest things to do is to learn how to trust it. And what do I mean by that? I mean, when you're off-roading, you almost have to do the opposite of what your brain's telling you to do. You have to be more relaxed. You have to loosen your grip a little bit. You have to let the bike correct itself. You know, the bike is going to be all over the place. Your tires are going to go into ruts, they're going to hit rocks, they're going to hit sticks. The bike is going to move around. If you ever watch hard enduro guys or motocross guys, they're nice and steady, nice and calm, and the bike under them is just going nuts. That's kind of what you have to do when you're off-roading. You got to trust the bike. You got to trust the bike to, you got to allow the bike to correct itself, because if you feel one little twitch and you tighten up, you know, you're going to lose control of the bike. It's not going to be a fun time. And that's one of the biggest skills, I guess you'd call it a skill. One of the most important things you need to know and learn when you're off-roading is how the bike's going to react to those obstacles so that you can feel more confident kind of when it happens. You know, when you hit a rock and the bike kicks around or whatever. I mean, you got to be able to trust the bike. And it takes a little while, you know. Like I said, I do have off-road experience, but it still took me a while to figure out how this bike would react to things. But once you do that, you can really get on it and have some fun. Check that out. You see that? Cracked my windshield. I went and bought one of those extenders because I wanted just a little bit more on the top of this to knock the wind over my head. And I must have tightened it down too hard. Freaking cracked it. That's alright, there's gonna be a new windshield coming. We'll talk about that in another video. So we talked about how the riding modes make a huge difference. And I mean, yes, that's the point of them. But not being able to shift into off-road mode from road mode drives you crazy. It's still one of the top things that I hate about this bike. And they say it's because of the traction control and because of the ABS that they can't do that. So where I live, you know, you get a couple miles of off-road or off pavement, and then you're back on the road to go to the next place. So it gets pretty annoying. Now, yes, you can go from off-road to road mode without stopping, so that is nice. But there's a lot of times where I'm just excited to get back off-road and I forget to switch back into off-road mode, and you know, you immediately notice it because the traction control is very, very intrusive in road mode, like it's supposed to be. But like that section I did before with the uphill with a lot of rocks, or even this section here if I'm coming the other way, it's very rocky and it's a hill, and you get going up that, and then your traction control kicks in right away, and then your bike basically loses all power and you can't move, and then you're stuck on a rocky hill halfway up going the wrong direction. So you gotta try to turn the bike around or shut it down, get into road mode, then try taking off on a rocky hill from zero. It's just not a situation you want to be in. So the fact that you still have to stop, put it in road mode before you can go, is something that Triumph really needs to address. This is a pretty cool place. I've never been here either. Doing all new stuff for you today. No. Oh, good. Thought that was the end of the journey. So it is hard through here because through these state forests, because there are a lot of people that stop here and walk. You know, there are hiking trails throughout the forest, but a lot of people come walk right down these main roads. You know, they have their kids with them, they have dogs, so you can't really go too crazy through here. Ooh, this is a jump. Oh, right into some mud. I did not get any air on that, by the way. So over the miles and miles and miles, I've become obviously much more comfortable with this bike. And a lot of times, posted. Damn. Oh, this guy didn't want to go off-road? What do we got here? If you're one of those people that are worried about getting bored with this bike, or it's not going to have enough power, you know, a year down the road, a couple thousand miles down the road, you really shouldn't be. You should really squash that concern, because after the first 1,000 miles, I am still having more and more fun on this every single time I get on it. The more I learn, the more comfortable I get with it, the more fun I have. And you know, the power is not an issue unless you're an adrenaline junkie, a speed demon, whatever. You know, you still have 100 horsepower and over 60 foot-pounds of torque. You have plenty, especially when you're talking about off-road. Because anything more than that, unless you're a professional, I really don't see how you're using it. So if you're one of those people that are still questioning this bike because of that, because of the 900, trust me, there's plenty. Woohoo! Yeah! Ah, yes. So much fun. Bitch. Well, this certainly isn't a gravel road. Woo! Got a frog in that one. Well, this is just too much. Thank God for these bark busters. That's a cool picture. Looks like it drops off pretty good right there, so we're not going to be risking that today. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. It is a lot of fun, but I wouldn't want to do this for too long. Oh! Whoa! That was way deeper than I thought. Some of these rocks really want to cut my tires. My pegs are getting stuck. Well, she didn't have any issues. Powered right through all that stuff. So you know, if you get off trail or you get into some really rough terrain, you're gonna be just fine. Saved it again. Maybe I got more skill than I thought, or luck. We'll probably luck. Yeah, it's luck. Jesus. I want to give just a couple quick shout outs to my gear. So obviously, you know, I've been testing these Klein Mojave gloves. Best gloves I've ever worn. I hate wearing gloves, you all know this. But if you are someone that if you are someone that doesn't like wearing gloves, try these out. They're awesome. Second shout out is going to be my boots. My Felco Adventure boots have gone through quite a bit of mud today, quite a bit of water, a lot of mud puddles, deep ones, and my feet are still bone dry. Not a single drop of water has gotten through. They are super comfortable on and off the bike. You can walk around, hike the trail, whatever, around the campsite, like I've said. Don't sleep on the Felco Adventure boots. Check them out. I got them at Rocky Mountain.